Top 3 Horrific Cold Cases. 1. The murder of Sylvia Likens. The brutal and cruel murder of Sylvia Likens still disturbs Indiana more than 50 years later. In 1965, police officers found the body of 16-year-old Likens laid on a filthy mattress. She was covered in more than 150 burns and cuts. It was clear at first that the young girl had starved to death as she was little more than skin and bone. Later, it was found that she died of a brain hemorrhage and malnutrition. Mother of 7 Gertrude Banaszewski was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Likens' parents had paid Banaszewski $20 a week to care of her and their other daughter Jenny. Instead, Banaszewski allowed her own children to beat Likens and force her to eat feces. Attorney Natty Bumppo said, "A lot of people have compared this to Lord of the Flies. But that was just a bunch of uncontrolled children. In this case, they had an adult supervising what they were doing. It wasn't children going wild. It was children doing what they were told." 2. Richard Speck slaughter. When Richard Speck entered South Chicago Community Hospital, where he methodically tortured and murdered 8 nurses, the state of Chicago changed forever. During the early hours of July 14, 1966, Speck led the nurses like lambs to the slaughter during an attack that lasted 5 hours. Distracted by his own killing spree, Speck didn't realize that one of his hostages had hidden under a bunk bed until the massacre was over. She then jumped from a window and ran for her life. All the victim recalled of Speck was his tattoo that read, "Born to Raise Hell." 2 days later, the cold-blooded killer arrived at County Cook Hospital following a suicide attempt, and a doctor recognized the tattoo from news reports. The assistant Cook County District Attorney said of the sadistic attacks, "It really was the first random mass murder of the 20th century. It really was the end of an age of innocence. It changed everything. We all became much more conscious of our security." 8 nurses could be slaughtered in their beds for no reason by a stranger. 3. Cannibal Armin Meiwes. In 2001, Armin Meiwes from Germany posted an advert on the cannibalism fetish website The Cannibal Cafe looking for a well-built 18 to 30-year-old to be slaughtered and then consumed. Many people replied to the advert, but all of them got cold feet apart from Bernd Jürgen Armando Brand. Throughout his childhood, Meiwes fantasized that if he were to eat someone, they would be with him forever so he would never be lonely again. The videotape Meiwes made of himself dismembering Brand is stomach-churning to say the least. Meiwes amputated the victim's penis and they both attempted to eat, but it was too chewy. Brand then took 20 sleeping pills to kill himself, but this was not a success and he slowly bled out from the amputation. Meiwes murdered Brand by slicing his throat and consumed the remains over a period of 10 months. He was sentenced to life imprisonment after stating to a psychiatrist that his fantasies of devouring people had not subsided.